presentation to make, but before I upload the presentation, I want to tell the people who are attending the webinar that the topic has got nothing to do with my experience in the Navy. The topic has nothing to do with my stint in Larsen & Toubro in the shipbuilding company. They have got nothing to do. This is purely based on my interest in the subject, which I would like to share with you some of the important aspects. And I can assure you, many of you would be hearing some of the facts which I'm going to tell for the first time. So let me upload my presentation. I will share the screen. Is the screen visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So the topic is very clear. Does the Indian economy need some additional strength from the oceans? What can oceans do for an economy? That is the thought which will cross everybody's mind. So let me take you down to some of the facts, some of the hidden treasures, some of the untapped resources, which will strengthen our economy. With that, I go to my first slide. I'm just very briefly telling you about the oceans. Much of it you know, but still, you may remember from your school days in your science classes, 70% of the oxygen which we have in the atmosphere comes from oceans. The bioorganisms which are in the oceans release oxygen after absorbing carbon from carbon dioxide. 70% of the oxygen. So if humanity is surviving in the world, one of the basic facts is the oxygen which is coming from the oceans. It moderates global climate. We all know that. Tropical areas, it makes it moderate climate. Polar regions are made warmer by them. And this is because the current is going up and down between the polar region and the equatorial region. It's a very important fact oceans have. It's a habitat for diverse marine life. A lot of it form the seafood for the human population. So it's a very vital resource. It's an employment opportunity for fisheries and tourism to millions of people. By area, the 5 important oceans, and you know all of them: Pacific, Atlantic, Indian Ocean, Arctic Oceans, all of them put together cover 70% of Earth's surface. 30% is land. So oceans have a much wider area. Why I'm saying this is there's lots of oceans for everybody to see whether they have some resource available on the surface of water, below the water, etc. Out of 195 countries in the world, more than 150 have an access to ocean. They have a seafront. Only 44 are landlocked. Simple example in our neighborhood: Nepal, Bhutan, and you can take even some of the Central Asian Republic countries which are landlocked and they have no access to sea. The volume of trade which goes through ocean is 90%, and they offer inexpensive, cheaper mode of transportation as compared to rail or by air or by road. And out of the 5 oceans, Indian Ocean covers 14% of Earth's surface area. So we will realize that we have the Indian Ocean around us, which is very close to our coastline. And if you look at the map, you see how much of ocean around our Indian subcontinent. All around our coast There's a vast expanse of water. A lot of sea is there, and we are fortunate to have so much of sea around us. I'll tell you why we are fortunate as we go along. So let us see that India and Indian Ocean. Indian Ocean and India are inextricably linked by geography. I've shown you the map. And by history, maritime history, right from 2500 BC, our civilization has been using the oceans for trade, for religious meetings with other countries or other island nations, and also for exchange of various visits. The maritime activities were flourishing in our country till 1500 AD. Whereafter, it declined with the arrival of Portuguese, Dutch, and English navies who had come. Many of them settled down in India. English in a big way, Portuguese in a smaller way, Dutch also in a smaller way. But they brought along with them navies which are very powerful, which completely subjugated our maritime power, and our maritime activities declined. I'm just giving you a background to tell you how oceans are important as far as history is concerned, as far as geography is concerned. Despite this history and superior geographical advantage, when we were born in 1947, we seem to have had a genetical disorder called sea blindness. We never looked towards the sea for strength in 1947 and for many years thereafter. We have a coastline of 7,500 kilometers. It's a long coastline. The mainland has got 5,400. Balance are all with the islands. It's an advantage, but also a challenge for security. There are 1,000 islands we have, and some are as far as 1,200 kilometers from the mainland. And their logistic support is a big issue. It's a very critical issue. So we are dependent on ocean for not only for the resources I'm going to talk about in subsequent slides, but also it is linked to our mainland over 5,400 kilometers, and also the logistic functions for our island territories, both in the west coast, as off west coast, as well as east coast. So let us look at the next slide. For the first few decades after independence, the sea trade, growth of shipbuilding, maritime security, which was done by Navy, development of ports, they were not very well coordinated by the government. They were a part of 5-year plans, but somehow they didn't have good coordination. In 1974, when we discovered oil off Bombay High with the help of Russia, we realized there's a lot of wealth for us, oil for us in the sea. And we started taking Bombay High oil since mid-1970s. Then we formed a Coast Guard in 77 so that they can do proper surveillance and any support for disasters, environmental disasters, etc. In 1982, the EEZ was established as per international law, exclusive economic zone. For 200 nautical miles from your coast, that much of sea is your property. You can use it for economic advantage. It is like saying somebody gives you some land and say you can take all the coconut from that land. Similarly, 200 nautical miles of sea all along your coastline, 200 nautical miles towards the sea, inside the sea, you can take all the wealth from that. That is your right. That is called EEZ. I just want to tell the people in the webinar, 1 nautical mile is 1.8 kilometers. So 200 nautical miles mean 360 kilometers, the distance, almost the distance from Trivandrum to almost Kozhikode. That much of distance into the sea is your property for all the wealth which is lying there. There's also another rule. If you have a very flat land, there's a concept of continental shelf that actually your land was flat, the sea has come inside. So therefore you can claim EEZ up to 350 nautical miles. So what has happened now is the total sea area. First I told you 200 nautical miles, which brought 2.3 million square kilometers. But there's a concept of continental shelf in some places along our coast, which will bring another 1.2 million square kilometers. So our total EEZ area is 3.5 million. And can you believe it? Your ocean area for your use is more than the land area of India. Many people will be surprised that we have got more area of oceans to benefit from than the entire land area of India. So let's not discard the oceans as saying there is nothing there to take. I will tell you what all is there to take, but please remember that area is more than the entire area of India. Just for information, we have got boundaries, maritime boundaries with 7 states, out of which 6 are already delineated, finalized, agreement signed, etc. Only with Pakistan, we are not still finalized the boundary. Maritime boundaries are imaginary lines drawn in the sea, but very clearly identified by geographical position or GPS position. We have only the Pakistan boundary yet to be finalized. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, one more. 15% of our population stay in 9 states which have got coastal region. You got 9 states starting from Kerala, Karnataka, Goa, Maharashtra, Gujarat. Similarly, on the eastern side, Andhra Pradesh and West Bengal, etc. There are 9 states. Every 6th Indian is staying in a state which has got a seafront. So it is something which is common to every 6th man in India. So let me go further. There are some vulnerabilities by having such a long coastline. It is not that coastline gives you a lot of resources, access to resources, but there are some problems. First is international shipping is going very close to our coastline. It is like having a house very close to a highway. Lot of traffic in the highway, you will get disturbed, and you may also find there could be some safety issues or security issues. So I show a map. I don't know whether you can see India's position here. All around India, you will see so many, these are dots indicating ships. So many ships are plying around India at any point of time. This is a satellite picture. So when so many ships are plying around our coastline, they're very close. You can have environmental disaster. You can have piracy. You can have issues like the Italian marine case where they hit a boat and 2 Kerala people died. So all these things are vulnerabilities in having a coastline, especially so long. And it is the main traffic highway between Middle East towards China side or Australia side. All the oil is going via this route by ships. We have a large number of ports and coastal installations which need to be looked after, for which we require seaward protection. That's a vulnerability. Poaching of fish is a regular feature by foreign powers. This regularly comes in newspapers. Protection of our minerals, gas reserves, energy resources which are lying on the seabed is a challenge. In 1980, Mrs. Indira Gandhi had announced that we have minerals lying on the seabed and we can use it. I will tell you whether we can use it or not, or when we can use it, but it's a challenge. that we have to look after, so nobody else takes it away and goes away to their country. It's an unfortunate thing. 70% of world's natural disasters, like cyclone, super cyclone, all these are happening in this region. And therefore, there's a lot of necessity for cooperation between nations in this area. There is some cyclone which is happening now, yesterday, of West Bengal and Orissa, and we have to make sure that our people are looked after. And similarly, when you have a cyclone in this region, some other country will require assistance. So we are all the time getting ready to help, either safeguard ourselves or to extend help to others because of this natural disasters, which is high in the Indian Ocean region. And lastly, Indian Ocean has got 1/3 world population staying all around Indian Ocean. If you add up the population, is 1/3 the world. So more trade, more people, more tourism, more people, traffic, all this is leading to this area becoming very, very crowded, even though the sea is so vast. There's a lot of traffic and a lot of people, a lot of ships flying up and down, which makes it vulnerable. And still we have to make sure the EEZ zone is protected by us and nobody else takes away our resources from there. India first signed the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. There are some laws for the sea, how you should drive a ship, how you will give sight to a ship, how you should cross a ship. So many rules are there. There are a lot of conventions on whether you can throw garbage into the sea, whether you can pump out oil into the sea, what you should do when there is a disaster, when there is an accident. So these laws are called, as I mentioned, UN Convention on the Laws of Sea. We have signed it. 168 countries have signed it. USA has not signed it. That's a separate point for discussion. Then there is International Seabed Authority, which was formed in 1994. There are 134 members. USA is still not a member. And this organization, International Seabed Authority, I'll be talking again and again about it. It's a very powerful organization which has formed certain rules which are to be followed by the members. China is a member, Japan is a member, Korea is a member, like that 134 countries are members. Today we have a Ministry of Earth Sciences. I don't know how many of you know this. There is a Ministry of Earth Sciences formed in 2006, which looks after all the interests of oceans and coordinates all activities by the various stakeholders. Then there are some regional cooperation associations, etc., which make sure that we have better disaster management response. And now comes the most important aspect of my presentation. India has made a commitment in November 21 in a meeting called COP26 at Glasgow, attended by nobody other than our Prime Minister. So there are 5 things we have committed, and I am going to focus only on 2 of them, which is put in the yellow box. Essentially, they pertain to reducing carbon in atmosphere. We have said we will generate 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030, 8 years from now. It is not generate, we will create capacity to generate. So we will create infrastructure by which 500 gigawatts of renewable energy is available. Renewable energy means solar, wind, something more, which I'll talk about it. And those all put together, we should have 500 gigawatts. That is one major decision which we have committed to. What does it mean? if you have so much of renewable energy coming, we will use less petrol, less diesel. Cars will run on battery. Thermal stations need not run like the way they are running now. And therefore, we will be able to reduce carbon emitted into the atmosphere by this. That's the number one. The number two is we will achieve net zero target by 2070, almost 50 years from now. None of us would be alive at that time. And we want to achieve this target. What is net zero? We release a lot of carbon dioxide into atmosphere by industrial activity, economic activity, burning petrol, fuel, diesel, etc. Lot of tons and tons of carbon we are emitting. Net zero means we will recover the tons and tons of carbon from the atmosphere and take it away. Where we will take it away, how we will take it away, we will see how it is possible. But net zero is if you release X tons, you are recovered X tons. So X minus X is zero. That is net zero. That means we should have ability to take away carbon from the atmosphere and go and store it somewhere, hide it somewhere, wherever you want. We'll see that as we go along. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my main presentation. So the oceans are very significant to us. Now I'm finishing my first part of the presentation, and I will tell you in summary, the oceans offer us oxygen, habitat for marine life, natural resources are there, oil, gas, metals, livelihood is there for people in fisheries and tourism, effect on climate is there, a lot of non-conventional energy can be produced. It's an important aspect that we should have good security along the coast, trade and logistics to islands, tourism, and a new thing which I'll talk about is how you can think of even storing fresh water in the oceans. I'm going to talk only about these 3 points which I've circled. Rest of things I'm not going to talk for paucity of time, and they are not relevant to the 2 international commitments which we have made, that is 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030 and net zero by 2070. That's our aim. So I will talk about this. Even freshwater storage is not a part of it, but it's an interesting concept. So I will spend 2 minutes on that in the last portion of my presentation, which is going to, the second part is starting now. So natural resources which are lying in India's EEZ are seabed minerals. The government, Indira Gandhi, when she was Prime Minister, she announced in 1984, early 80s, but we have not taken it out so far in big scale. There's oil there. They already started taking out oil from Bombay High, and subsequently we started taking from Krishna Godavari basin on the east coast. So we're using that oil. And there is something further lying in the sea called methane deposits. And they are lying inside some hydrates. I don't know how many of you know what is a hydrate, but I'll explain to you 2 slides later how these methane deposits are lying there and what can be used, what can be they used for. So let me first go to seabed minerals. Seabed minerals is very critical now because world is on a transition to clean energy, green energy. So we don't want to burn petrol and diesel. Instead, we want to use non-conventional energy or renewable energy. We want to run a car on battery, for which battery is required, motor is required. We want to run buses on battery, similarly, motor and electricity battery is required. We want to produce wind energy, for which the blades of the windmill has to be made lighter and strong. all this requires new types of materials. And it is estimated 3 billion tons of very critical metals, nickel, copper, cobalt, manganese, zinc, lithium, aluminum, all these are required by the world from now onwards for the next maybe 10, 15 years to make sure that we use clean energy to the extent possible, and we will prevent global warming and limit it to 1.5 degrees from what it was earlier. So the global warming issue is very, very important. So we want to reduce carbon footprint. And to reduce the carbon footprint, we want to avoid petrol and diesel. We want to shift to green energy, clean energy. And therefore, you require all these metals because you require to make batteries, you require to make very light and efficient equipment. Motor also has to be strong. It has to be light for the car, buses, trucks, etc. So you require all these metals. So this is what the world requires. And let us see what India can do. India has got some, at the moment, some landmines. But taking from landmines is not without any penalty. It has got a lot of adverse factors as far as the environmental is concerned. So mining on land is not a good thing. We have to avoid. So they have to come from somewhere else. So where is the somewhere else? We don't have much anyway for only for nickel, cobalt and lithium. We have a little bit landmine, but for for nickel, cobalt and lithium, we don't have any landmine. For balance, copper, manganese and zinc, we have landmines, and we can use the landmines to the extent possible, but there are some environmental factors on it. But for nickel, copper and lithium, we don't have any landmines. So we have nothing in the land. So the government has formed a new public sector company called Kabel. I don't know how many of you heard this company called Kabel. It's a new PSU, which is trying to buy mines abroad in other countries. This has been done after China has bought most of the cobalt mines in Congo, in Africa. They are the world's #1 source for cobalt, which is required for car batteries, truck batteries, bus batteries. And China has already bought 70% of the mines in Congo. So we also formed one company called Kabel to go and buy some mines abroad to see whether we can also get some lithium and cobalt, nickel, etc. from foreign mines, which we don't have otherwise in India. But there are polymetallic modules lying on the sea bed for us. In our ocean bed, these metallic modules are lying there. We had to pick up. But I told you, ISBA, International Seabed Authority, is not permitting any commercial mining at this point of time. They are only telling you can do some research and development, you can do some technology demonstration and see whether you have the ability to pick up the modules from the bottom of the sea. The depth of the sea varies from place to place. So they have told us to practice in some location where you can check all your equipment, check your capability, which is what I'm going to talk about in the subsequent slide. So ISBA has said, you can take from EEZ, of your own EEZ, you can take. When we tell you, that approval has not come so far, but we'll tell you one day, at that time you start. But now you get ready. They have also said, those metals which are lying, or those modules which are lying outside the EEZ of any country, which does not belong to any country by EEZ, they will become the common heritage of mankind. So how these wealth will be picked up from these areas, who will pick it up, how they will form a central resource for mankind, how they will get distributed to various countries, will landlocked countries receive it, will people receive it as a percentage of your population? All these things are not known. It is not yet finalized. But there's a lot of wealth lying outside any EEZ, and the decision is, it is the mankind which will benefit from this. It is like an ancestral property, but is not to any one person, but is to mankind. So all these things we'll have to see how ISBA decides it in the years to come. I presume it will happen in the next 4 or 5 years that ISBA decide on this. So now let's look what is our preparation for seabed mining. I'm sorry, minerals. There is an organization called NIOT, National Institute of Ocean Technology in Chennai, and they have made some equipment and some working. I'll just show you how it works. This is how they have done to see whether any modules are lying on the seabed. Can you see some ship on top? From ship, there are 2 pipes running down. One pipe is connected to a seafloor collector. It is a small mechanism with some air suction, etc. It will suck in stones, metallic modules lying on the seabed, along with water and mud, etc. It will churn it up and send it to the ship. It goes up to the ship. In the ship, it will be filtered, cleaned. The water will be thrown back to the sea by the other pipe, and you will get some samples which are come from seabed. Just for information, the depth, that is the length of these pipes, is very close to 6 kilometers, 6,000 meters. No man can go there. It's only the pipes are pushed down and the ship remains on top and does all the operation through fiber optic cable, through cameras, etc., to see how it is happening. So this NIOT is doing this. They will do somewhere off Trivandrum first, let us say, and they will collect modules, look at the samples which have come from that place, and they will say, oh, there is nickel here, good. Then they will go another 50 kilometers or 100 kilometers, 50 kilometers, go in Kollam, and in Kollam they will do some more survey. Like that, they will do survey along the west coast and east coast and prepare a map where all water's been located and what is likely to be there. And then they will make an estimate. So many tons or so many kilograms of items are lying at the bottom of the sea. And I will tell you the figure which they have estimated. So to do this experiment, where are you doing this? 6,000 meters depth we don't have in India. So they have given us a place in Indian Ocean, an area of only 75,000 square kilometers. You can imagine what is the total area which they are given you in the sea, 75,000 square kilometers. And that is about 2,500 kilometers away from Kanyakumari. So, and the depth is 5,000 meters. So I will tell you what they are doing there. See, can you see this yellow star? This is a place which is given to India, right? This is the place. China has got a place here. This is only for experiment. You do all your R&D here. So we are doing it there. And this depth here is 5,000 meters. Similarly, in China also has got a depth of around 5,000 meters. And we are doing an experiment. And in this experiment, we have carried out some mining using robotic mining through a submersible. Submersible is a small platform which goes underwater. It gets submerged and does not have any man, unmanned submersible. It's called ROSUB, remote operated submersible. 6,000 means it can go up to 6,000 meters. Show you some photo. Can you see this? This is the submersible, which is lowered from a ship by cables through umbilical cables. There is some equipment here which controls this, and it can move a little bit and collect samples from it. You can see the another view of this. It is being lowered from a ship by a crane. It's a very small cage-like thing. I'm sorry. Let me go back. It's a small cage-like construction. It's an open cage. It weighs 3 tons in air, but in water it weighs only 20 kgs. It can bring 150 kgs of samples from the seabed. Only 150 kgs it can bring from down below. And it is operated through fiber optic control of cameras and actuators. It has been under trials for last more than 10 years, and they are able to go till 5,900 meters. So this is what NIOT has done. First, they did survey and found out how to do it. Then they lowered ROSUB in that earmarked area, and they have been able to do up to 5,000 meters, 5,900 meters, even though we don't require that sort of capability. Our waters, our EZ is only up to about 2,000, 2,500 meters. But the area given to us is 6,000 meters. So we did this up to 5,900. Okay. Now let's see more of it. Now, once you have established, this is for survey. Once you establish survey, you require a vessel or a small truck, which will move on the seabed. You have to bring items in great quantity, no? You cannot be only doing survey and keeping quiet. So they have made a truck, which is called a locomotive. And these locomotion trials have been done in April 21, just last year. And it looks like this. It can move on the Earth's seabed or our seabed without getting stuck in the mud. It has got some air cushion. And another view of this is another view of this. And this, then we can pick up. We have deposits all along our EZ, and it is estimated to be 380 million tons of metallic modules lying in our EZ. We know it is lying there, but we can't take it. We can take it only after ISBA gives approval, which we are expecting to happen in the near future. So we are ready to go for this exercise. It will be a major activity which will take more than 10 years to finish, in my estimate. You have to do East Coast, you have to do West Coast. Maybe you'll have 2 teams, 4 teams doing different areas, picking up items on the bottom of the sea and bringing it on top. What they're bringing on from the bottom of the sea is, I will show you some photo what it is like. After extraction, it has to be, after extraction, it has to be refined and separated from, it is polymetallic. It is more than one metal. So you have to make nickel out separately, and you have to separate manganese separately. So some metallurgical process to be done. So I'll show you some photo of that. See, this is the polymetal. It looks like these are the samples which have come. These photographs are available in the internet. So these are some of the items which have come from bottom of the sea. They have to melt it and see what it is and then separate it into the various items. This is another item which has come from the bottom of the sea. Right. So 3,080 tons of things are lying at the bottom. We have to pick it up from the bottom of the sea. So let's go to the next slide. Now, we have done a survey. We have found a method by which we can go, we cannot go, we can send an equipment to pick up. What happens if this equipment gets malfunctioning? What happens if there is a problem with the equipment when it is lowered into the sea? How will you find out? So you have to send some people to see whether anything is broken, any wire is entangled. So to see all this, the government has launched a project called Samudriyaan, very similar to Chandrayaan. So this exercise is a part of Deep Ocean Mission of the government. They launched in November 21, very recently, which can go in manned operations. People can go to a depth of 5,000 to 6,000 meters. They can go. How will they go? They will go in a submersible. Maximum 3 people can go, and they can go for 12 hours and see the place and come back. So I'll show you a photo how it's a ball, it's a sphere of just 2.1 meter, about 7 feet. Less than 7 feet is the diameter of that sphere, inside which 3 people will sit, and they will take the ball down. The wall of the sphere is 25 mm, right? So that is 2.5 centimeters of titanium. It is to withstand the high pressure of water. So I will show a photo of this sphere. It looks like this. Into this ball or in this sphere, 3 people will get in, and this is lowered into the sea, which will go 5 kilometers below. With cameras and other things, they are able to see whether what has gone wrong with your equipment, and then they will take a decision whether to abandon it or pull it up. But they cannot get out of the sphere. They can only go and see and come back. Okay, so it is some sort of what endoscopy will do in your body. Something will go inside your body and see what is wrong and tell you this is a picture. And then the doctor and the surgeon will decide what is to be done. I know there are some doctors in this audience. They will understand this a little better. So this is what Project Samadriyan is about. Now, this is undergoing trials now, as I told you, and we are expecting it will be ready in all manners by the time ISBA gives the approval for you to mine from our seabed, where more than 300 million tons of metallic modules are available, which are required desperately for green energy and clean energy. Now I come to the next slide on oil. There's nothing much to talk about oil. We have been taking oil from sea for the last 50 years, and we have taken so much that there's very little oil left. You see how the graph is coming down. With time, it has come down so much. We have some oil fields on land also. That is also coming down. So oil from our own source in sea and land is depleting. We are not having any much reserve left. And anyway, we should not be using oil because of carbon emission. So two is that we have used enough. But just for information, the depth of water is 300 meters for Bombay High in West Coast, and for Krishna Godavari, it's around 1.5 kilometers. But they are going to be consumed and then they will have to be abandoned. But it will meet our Paris meet commitments, where we have said that we will use renewable energy, non-fossil, no petrol, no diesel, for 40% of our requirement. Only for 60% of our requirement, we will use petrol and diesel. What we are using today, very close to 85%, because the rest is non-renewable energy. We will increase renewable energy and reduce fossil fuel. This is a good thing because we will reduce our dependence on oil imports, which is anyway a problem now, which is lead to a lot of inflation as well in the country. Now I come to a very important resource, and I'm sure many people are not there in the audience who know about this. It's called methane hydrate. Let me explain to you. Large amount of methane is trapped in crystalline structure of water, but it is stable under high pressure and low temperature. I'll show you an explanation of this. These are water molecules. These are gas molecules, methane. They're trapped in water. You can take out this methane alone and bring it to land on top. Then we will get natural gas for our industrial operation, which has got less carbon than petrol and diesel. So instead of oil from Bombay High or some other place, take out methane, which is available in hydrates. But where are these hydrates? Let us see. These hydrates are available in the continental shelf around our coast, and we have the second largest reserve after USA. Second largest reserve. So lots of methane is available in our EEZ. We have to take it out. We should know how to take it out. We'll talk about it. It is estimated that we have 1,900 trillion cubic meter of methane, which is many times, more than 5 times the energy equivalent of all the coal we have. We have lots of coal, but our coal is very, very dirty. A lot of carbon is there in that. But you don't want to use coal, you don't want to use petrol, you don't want to use diesel, but you can use relatively cleaner methane if you can take it out. And there is 1,900 trillion cubic meter. Lots of methane is lying in under our ocean. So government has formed a program called National Gas Hydrate Program, which is doing R&D now with Japan, Canada, and US. They're also doing R&D. They're also having a lot of hydrates in them. So let me show you some of the hydrates where they are lying. This is the world map. Wherever there is a red dot, that means a lot of hydrates. Where there's a yellow dot means less hydrate. And we have got lots of them on the west coast and a few of them on the east coast. And if you look at the Indian map alone, all along our west and east coast, we have got hydrates in the continental shelf. We have to find ways and means of taking it out. Okay. So let us see what happens now. How to extract the methane from this is under study. And so far, Korea has, I think, made some way how they will take out the methane. If you take out the methane, then there's a fear that the structure will collapse and the continental shelf will get affected. So people are worried in just taking out methane. They should take out methane, but put something back there. So let us see what it is. So when will the hydrates get exploited is a big question. There are R&D efforts which are going on, and people feel you have to sequestrate the methane. Sequestrate means take by force. You will take it out by force, the methane, and put liquid carbon dioxide in that place. Because by molecular weight, they have found if you put carbon dioxide there instead of methane, then the structure may not fail. So what is the advantage? You have given carbon dioxide and taken out methane. It's a win-win situation. You want energy to come from the ocean and you want to take away carbon from land. So take away the carbon dioxide from atmosphere, liquidify it, take it to the bottom of the sea, put it in the hydrate, take out methane and bring it on top. Sounds very simple, but it's very complex science-wise, engineering-wise. So people are working on it. And if we are able to do it successfully, we have a lot of methane coming to us from the bottom of the sea. And I told you about net zero by 2070. And one of the crucial operations which may be there in our plan, I'm not sure, but I am guessing that one of the crucial operations in our energy plan and our net zero plan is to take carbon dioxide and put it in the hydrates and bring methane back from the bottom of the sea. So it's a win-win situation. Let's hope it happens that way. We get cleaner energy. At the same time, carbon deposits are taken away from our atmosphere. So next I will quickly go through the other conventional energies. I'll go through wind, then wave and tidal very quickly. That finishes almost the presentation. World Bank says that you can produce 200 gigawatts almost, out of which 110 is from land-based windmills or wind farm and about 90 from floating structures. Why floating? Because the wind in the sea is stronger than wind on land. It gets attenuated when it flies over land, when it goes over land. So you should set up a wind farm in the sea to be more efficient, to get more energy. And how people have done is they have a series of windmills connected by electrical cables, and all the power comes to a substation on land. It is more expensive, no doubt, but you will get more energy. Now, Gujarat and Tamil Nadu coast have got immense potential in generating wind from offshore farms, and it is capital intensive. Government is looking at how to get from World Bank and some loans, etc. And another important factor is you have to lease, like you lease spectrum, 2G spectrum to some people. Now you have to lease wind bank, a volume through which a lot of wind is going to come. That has to be given to a private company who will put money on a farm out at sea and give you the energy. So this is the policy which they are looking at, but there are some legal issues whether we can lease a seabed and wind bank, etc. I'm sure there'll be some solution found. But there are some countries which have gone ahead and done all this. I will show you a photograph of how a wind farm looks. That's a very important development. This is the wind farm over the sea in Denmark. 25% of Denmark's power comes from offshore farms. So it's a proven technology. It is something which we can easily replicate. But when you do this, you have to make sure fishermen should not get disturbed. Their fishing activity should not get disturbed. Boats will have to go and come. All those things will have to be looked at. So it is something which the government is not yet tried, but they are going to try very soon in Gujarat and in Tamil Nadu. Okay, next they go to wave energy. Wave energy is perennial, right? And it's a very simple way of operation. They will make a concrete structure like this, and lengthwise it will run along the beach. When the wave comes, water will rise inside the structure, and the rising water will turn a turbine, right? And when the wave goes up, it will again run, but in the opposite direction. But water, which is pushing the turbine this way or that way, will enable electrical energy to be produced. And this will happen throughout the time when wave is coming in and wave is going out. You will be able to do it. You will be able to generate power. Instead of water, you can also push air in the structure. Water is coming only up to here, but the air will get pushed here and will come back when the water goes out. That also can be done. Both techniques have been being studied, and this is a source which it was tried out in Vizhinjam in early 90s. It took some 5-6 years to do it. In early 2000, it was tried out, and it was only producing very little power. That also during monsoon, when the wave action was very forceful. But the project showed that a lot more study needs to be done. A lot of deep insights were developed on it. I'll show you a photo of the Vizhinjam setup. Vizhinjam setup, it looks like this. It is today, it is a relic. It is not functional, but they abandoned it. It is lying there. And wave energy has got capital intensive outlay, and one has to spend a lot of money. And it's not a very popular source of power, at least for India. IIT Madras says you can generate 40 gigawatts, but it is not cost effective. So government has decided we will only do R&D. We will not go for wave energy plant for immediate future. So the 500 gigawatts which you are looking at by 2030, there's no wave energy. Wave energy is not there. We will continue doing our research. Let's do tidal energy, very similar way. It is perennial. It is just like sea is coming in, tide, high tide, it goes to the estuary, and low tide, this will go back. Same, some turbine is operated here. Similar to wave, wave energy, tidal energy is also produced, but it is little slow because tide takes some time. It's not like wave which keeps on coming and going. So the tidal energy is possible to do it in India, but you require significant difference between low tide and high tide. Lot of difference in height is required to be effective. So the only place where we can do in India is what is marked in red in Gujarat, where the tide difference is significant. So they are looking at this, whether we should do it or not. A lot of studies have gone in. They said we will get only some 8 gigawatts of power. We want 500 gigawatts. So government has decided this also we will only do R&D. We will see what other countries are doing. France and Korea have done a lot of work. We'll study that. And now we will not include wave energy for 2030 target of 500 gigawatts. Now I come to my last aspect of ocean being used for us. This is like storing fresh water in ocean. Now, when rivers flow to sea, lot of fresh water is gone to sea and become salty. So we are not able to utilize the river water for drinking purposes or irrigation purposes. If the water is not polluted by industries and sewage, we can even use it for drinking purposes. But you should trap it in a dam. Many of you know in Tanir Mukkam, there is a structure which is created by which the river cannot go to sea, and all the river is trapped landward, and sea cannot come over. Only if they open the valves, river can go this side or sea can come this side. So concept is something very similar to Tanir Mukkam, which we have in Kerala. So in west coast of India, there are 10 rivers which are flowing into Gulf of Kambat. I'll show you the map. 10 rivers: Narmada, Sabarmati, Mahi, and some more rivers, small rivers. They flow into Gulf of Kambat. This is the map. This is the Gulf of Kambat. So if you build a wall here, all this area, the rivers which will flow in, the water will stay on the other side. And this side will be sea. To make sure there is a lot of water coming in, I'm sorry, what did I do? Lot of water coming in, they're diverting Narmada from here by a canal into this portion. So they will build a wall, and on top of the wall, there'll be a 4-lane road or 6-lane road for traffic to go up and down from Maharashtra side to Gujarat side. So there'll be some benefit also coming out of so much of reduction in road travel. If this is made, then this project is called Kalpasar, then you will have lot of river water trapped continuously, especially during monsoon time. And over a period of time, it will become a large freshwater storage, which will be outside the land, but in the ocean. There are not many countries which are doing this at this point of time. So government is looking at building this 30 kilometers of dam across the sea and bifurcate that area for water storage. It will store 10,000 million cubic meter. For information, Idiki is 2,000 million cubic meter, but Idiki dam has got a height of 170 meters. Here, the height won't be that much, much less. Therefore, maybe it is 20 or 25 or something like that meters. So it will be a vast area, but less height. But water will be 5 times that of Idiki level. The survey work is in progress. It's supposed to cost 90,000 crores. When this will happen, etc., is not very clear. But Ministry of Earth Sciences seem to have run into some bottlenecks on the study. So they have not made much progress in the last 1 year, definitely. And their annual report talks of only that study is in progress. but this will be something very unique way of utilizing your ocean. Here you're using the ocean space, ocean volume to store water instead of creating a dam on land. So let me come to the conclusions. Oceans have abundant wealth of minerals. We talked about oil. We talked, but it is depleting. So after some time, there'll be no more oil, and lots of natural gas in the hydrates, which we are lucky to have. And if we can take it out, the metallic modules and the methane, it will hugely support our economy for its development in a sustained manner in the future. You require new technologies for ocean mining. Some have already I've shown you how NIOT is doing, how experiments have been done, how success has come their way in some of them. Then there is Samudriyan also being done for the titanium sphere for people to go. All this work is going on, and I hope this will all succeed, and it will be ready by the time the ISBEA gives approval. Ministry of Earth Sciences has done very good job in the last 10 years. A lot of technological economic capabilities have been developed in the country. In the decades ahead, India will have to synergize the ocean management and green energy. Your solution for green energy is lying in the ocean. The modules are there which are required for green energy applications. The methane is there which is required for cleaner fuel. So if these two you are able to take, then our economy will be sustained manner, it will grow. And this has to be done to make sure that our economy sustains in the decades ahead. And I'm talking ahead by 50 years, we will be able to make sure if these resources come out of ocean, which genuinely belong to us, it doesn't belong to anybody else, it's ours. We have to pick it up, or we have to take it out, if it is methane, and then do it. So India's economy in future depends on the wealth which you're going to take from oceans. We are not taking it now. Maybe after 10 years, we will say we will take wave energy also, tidal energy also. But at the moment, we are not taking those forms of energy. But today, our focus is on three things: modules from the seabed, methane from hydrates, and offshore wind farms. These are three things which we have to progress our work. Some are in R&D stage, some are ready for installation, some are ready for exploitation. We have to make sure that our wealth from the oceans are made available for our economy to sustain and grow. We have to grow, but we have to grow differently. From now onwards, we have to grow differently towards cleaner energy, for which the strength is actually in the oceans. That's what I said in my title. India's economy in future needs the strength of the oceans to support it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I have finished my talk. Now I can take questions. I'm stopping the sharing of my presentation. I'll be free to answer any questions which you want me to do. Thank you.